Good afternoon. Welcome to the BM Touch how-to webinar with us here at Roseview, and we are joined with the team at Business Micros. I'm Kian, the marketing manager here at Roseview, and my colleague director, Mike Bygrave. So thank you for joining once again. Just going to go over some meeting housekeeping and stuff. So the webinar is going to be recorded so we can use this for training purposes for people that have missed the webinar. Microphones are muted for all attendees and cameras are also turned off for all attendees. The presenters at Business Micros will share their screen and go through the BM Touch system. So the agenda for this webinar is to understand how to quote with BM Touch. There will be a live demonstration by Business Micros. They will then move on into the development side of Business Micros and some additional points. And then what we'll do is we'll come back to us here at Roseview with a short Q&A if you have any questions. And then if you would like to, you can email us and we will come back to you with some how-to guides and other bits of material. So I will hand over to Mike.
Hi there. I'll just run through a very quick introduction to BM Touch and how Roseview are using it and how our customers can use it. And then obviously we'll hand it over to the guys at Business Micros and they'll demo Touch to you specifically on how to quote, how to order, how to turn your quotes into custom quotes, that sort of thing. So the reason that we've worked with Business Micros and we've been working with them for getting on for a year, I would imagine, and getting this right, is to build our Sash windows into the Touch system. And the purpose of that is to allow you guys to then quote and order our Sash windows without having to send stuff to us first. So obviously that gives you more flexibility. It means you can do things at your own time. You're not having to wait for us to send quotes back to you. Everything is live priced, and that was a key part of what this was all about. So all of our pricing is in there. To be fair, we've worked with the guys really hard on this, and our goal is that for every window to be within £1 of if we quoted it directly for you. So, and that's what we've been testing for so long. So you may have heard of, we've been sort of launching this for a little while now. We've been rolling it out. The reason that we've done this is because we want to help you guys. We realize that the market is tough at the moment, and this should give you like a competitive edge. It helps you be faster, it helps you be more flexible, it helps you do things as and when you need to do them. So before I hand over to the guys, I just wanted to say a little note about backup as well. So we realize that this system's new, and it'll be new to quite a lot of you. So I just wanted to reassure you really that we have backup on all of this. So we've produced our own guide. Business Micros have provided guides. We're actually recording a bunch of little videos as well to show certain features and how to do certain things. So there's a lot of backup. We're actually also going to have a member of staff. They're going to be joining us in approximately 1 month, who will be dedicated to digital quoting effectively within Roseview. So there'll be a point of contact within Roseview who deals with all things touch related. So you'll have that first point of call for any support that you need from us. But then of course you get some support from Business Micros as well. There's help built in. There's all sorts of different ways of getting that support. So I won't go on too long. I think now probably the best thing for me to do, if I hand it over to Richie at Business Micros, sorry, over to Nick. Nick is going to lead it from Business Micros. And these guys are going to show you how to quote, how to order, how to turn your quotes into customer orders, that sort of thing. So I'll hand it over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mike. Hello,
Cheers.
everybody. My name's Nick Bailey. I am the sales manager at Business Micros, and in collaboration with the guys at Roseview Windows, been asked to present the touch software. It's going to enable you to get your quote, being able to get an accurate costing, and then be able to get a quote from Roseview and then to re-quote your customers. So I'm also joined here by Adam and Joe, part of our sales team, and Richie Thornton, who is also part of the sales team, and his focus is also on kind of product development, product management too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you now, and you will immediately see the Roseview Touch Portal dashboard. So when you come to this link, what you will see is an area for you to put your email address, and your password in. First of all, I will make sure I put that information in correctly. Okay, so once I'm in, this is the dashboard that you'll see. So on the left-hand side, you have an area where you'll be able to create a quote, an area you'll be able to create an order. You also have an area where you'll be able to see any quotes that you have previously entered, any orders that you've previously placed. And further down, you'll have access to a resource center with a variety of guides and documentation available from Roseview to yourselves. There'll also be a news area that will be frequently populated by the team at Roseview to keep you updated with all the latest goings on. You'll also have access to a knowledge base where help and guidance will be available from the BM Touch team to help you get the best out of the system. And then there is also access to the Touch Store, which my colleagues will refer to later on in this demonstration with in relation to the branded mode product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by going into my account. So this is important because you'll see within here you have your customer details. So in this example company where we have KRB Home Improvements, this has been populated with their contact mobile number, their email address, and it's also where we can go in and store your company website, your company registration number, and your company VAT registration number. Can also upload your company logo, and that logo then moves through the entire site for any customer-facing documentation that you may wish to send. The next one down, we then see the financial details. So this allows you to store a requote markup percentage, and that will then be applied to any quotes that you then send out to your customers. So we can save those. Further along, we then have access to the number of staff and licenses within your business. So in this case, we just have the one member of staff, but this is where we'll be able to add staff and then configure their access. We then have access to the addresses and delivery days, which is where you will find having been able to set up your number of different addresses depending on if you are able to receive deliveries if you have multiple units perhaps for your business. And then finally, which is perhaps one of the most important areas, is the custom styles. And this will become more relevant as I go into creating a quote. So within the custom styles, you're able to specify where the requoted email. This is where when you send a quote to your customer, the email address from which that will be sent from. You're then able to customize the email subject and the email body text. On the right hand side, you also have the function to be able to upload imagery. So in this case, you see one of my colleagues has previously uploaded an image of a house with some nice sliding sash windows. And then on the second, what would be the last image, there would then be another uploadable image that you'd be able to put against those. So for any of you currently like kind of watching this, you'd be able to take some of your existing kind of marketing imagery, and you'd be able to upload this to here so that when you create a quotation, that will have your content on it, and it will be therefore like specific and customized to yourselves. So once we've made those adjustments, if I go into create a quote, you'll see on the left hand side the list of all the products that are available from Roseview Windows that are available to you as their customer to be able to allow you to quote for yourselves. So this includes the Charisma range and the Heritage range, and also the Ultimate Rose range. So if I start off by going into the Charisma Rose range, you will see that there is a fixed variety of the various different styles and designs that are offered. If I start off by selecting the standard kind of the slide up and down, Having selected that item, it will then take me into this next screen where on the right-hand side, I'll see the image. And on the left-hand side, I will have the area where I'll go into edit the measurements and also be able to then customize that particular product. You'll also see that what's just popped up, and this will happen kind of around the portal, is there will be quick tips that will pop up from time to time to explain what you can do in the software. So in this case, it's explaining the quick tip. You can click on the areas of the image to customize specific parts of the product. So that means that I can click on the glass, I can click on the sash, and I can click on the frame, and that will allow me to customize those particular elements. So the first thing that we need to do in Touch when we've selected a design is to enter the overall width and height. This can either be done on the left-hand side in the box. So I've entered in the overall width to start with, and I'm going to enter in the overall height. Or alternatively, if you prefer to, you can select this here, so above and next to the design itself. And then having entered those sizes, the software will then automatically calculate what's required for that. And at the top here, where I currently have it flagged immediately as cost off, if I turn that on, this is going to give you the, well, no indication, this will be the accurate cost of how much it's going to cost you as that customer. Obviously, we've set this up currently as a demonstration customer, but including any discounts that you receive from Roseview, this would be the item cost to you. And I can select here, and I can then see a breakdown. So if I turn those back off for the time being, if I go into customize product, this is where I'll then be able to go through and select some general options, some profile options, hardware options, and glass options. So we break them down into those 4 distinct areas in order to kind of improve your manner of being able to navigate the menu. So within the general options, we have things such as the security level. So we have the option being able to choose between the standard or secure by design. We can determine the vertical split position, so whether we want it to be equal glass or whether we want to split by dimension. You can also choose your sash horns, so whether you want run-through horns, whether you want clip-on horns, or whether you don't want any horns. So if I select none, I should then see that reflected on screen. And if I go back, turn it back on, then you should see that again reflected on the screen. As I move further down into the profile and ancillary options, so we're looking at the base profile to start with, and whether we're selecting from the standard color range or the foiled sprayed base color range. The next set of options are with regards to the profile color. So this allows you to choose the external and then be able to indicate that there is a different color internally. So we will be able to select from white wood grain, anthracite wood grain, jet black, cream wood grain, and charcoal wood grain. So if we select an anthracite gray, you'll then see how that's rendered on screen in the image. If I choose to look at the internal view, I can then see the internal looking out into the garden and the internal looking into the living room. As I scroll through the various different color options available, you see again how that's then rendered on screen to be an accurate representation. We then have the options with regards to the bottom rail, so we can choose between the standard medium sash, and then we also have the option for the deep bottom rail. And then again, you can see that that's how that's depicted on screen. We then also have the options for being able to select different size sills. We have the options furthermore to be able to select add-ons, so we can see being able to select concealed overhead vents, selecting 20mm and 50mm add-ons. Having selected that add-on, we can then see again how that's then depicted on screen reducing the overall size of the frame, but then displaying the add-on at the top. As we move further down, we then got the hardware options. And under these hardware options, we then have the ability to change the hardware color. So in this case, I changed it to selecting gold hardware, and being able to then move between the external and the internal view, be able to see then how that again is displayed on screen on the image. You can then turn between on and off some other options such as polarize. So we take those off. We can then see that those are then removed from the image that you see on screen. As we then move down to the glass options, you have we have grouped the glass into 5 different areas. So standard glass, security glass, acoustic glass, thermal upgrade glass, and solar glass. Within the standard glass, we'll have the standard soft clear low iron, but then you have your other options available such as obscurities. If I'm to select the obscure glass, what you'll see is that it defaults to a pattern. Within these sets of patterns, you're then able to select other patterns. And of course, just as it has done with the colors and the hardware ranges, having selected a Flemish, it will then depict that on screen and give an accurate rendering of that particular finish. Again, I can see that from both internal and external view. So I'm going to set this back to being soft clear. If I move into the glass decoration area, so I have 4 options. I have a no decoration, the option to select astragal bar, leaded, or Georgian bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select astragal bar here. What this does, it allows me to then, first of all, change the design. But you can see on the right hand side how it's displayed the astragal bar on the sashes. If I then go into the glass design decoration, it then gives me a variety of different options available. So from single horizontal, single vertical, double horizontal, double vertical, all the way through to things such as a single row. So let's say I select single vertical bar. We'll then be able to see kind of, again, how that then displays on the image on the right-hand side. If I'm looking to customize this, so refer to that quick tip that we started a couple of moments ago. If I select any particular article of the frame, sorry, of the glass, or the sash, or the frame, but in this case, if I select the glass, it will then only show me the glass configuration for that particular unit. It'll then enable me to go into the glass decoration design on the bottom left-hand side here, and I can select a different configuration. And then once I've selected off that, so if you did want to set up a sliding sash product looking like that, then you're able to select the top and the bottom to look distinctly different. Because I can't imagine anybody wanting that. I'll set it back to single vertical. So once you have configured the items, so we've entered in the width and the height, we've configured the item, we've changed the hardware color, we've put astragal bar. We can then go back and have a look at the costs, and we can see then the costs have been uplifted to reflect that. And then looking then into the breakdown, we can send that how that's been then reflected in the price that we'll be paying Roseview. Once I'm satisfied with this particular item, I can then save it to quote. It then adds it into a basket of goods. And from here, we can either choose to view a summary of that item. So we can see, without going into the item, we can see that the measurements, the general options selected, the profile and ancillary options, the hardware options, and the glass options. We can choose to go in and edit the item again, which will then take us back into the previous processing menu. If we want to duplicate the item, perhaps we want exactly the same item, but it needs to be a slightly different size. If we select to duplicate the item, you will see that it creates it again below. And then by going back into edit item, I can then go back in and I can change it. So in this case, I want one that's 900 wide. And it's 1500 tall. And when I save that to quote, so I've saved myself some work by being able to duplicate it. Or if in fact, I've made a mistake and I don't need that item anymore, I simply go and delete the item, click confirm, and that will remove it from my basket. If I now want to go and add another product in, so in this case, perhaps I want to go in and have a look at the Bay product. I'll select the Charisma Rose Bay. It shows me then the options that are available, what Bay options I have from Roseview Windows. So in this case, we have a 3-segment bay with 3 frames, or a 3-segment bay with 4 frames. So having selected the design, again, it will then take me into the processing menu. So in here, again, we would enter the sizes to start with. So we start by entering the measurements. So we can put this in perhaps at 2 meters high, and then we're putting the individual sizes. So we'll put these in a meter each. Having put those sizes in, we can then move to putting the angles in. So I'll put these in on a 135-degree angle. So having entered the measurements on the left-hand side, it's then reflected what we see rendered on the right-hand side. Again, we can use the external and internal button. We can also then use a bow bay plan view, which will then show us the layout of that bay window. And if you then wish to configure these sizes here, so perhaps these angles need to be changed, and instead of it being 135, it's actually 130. We can configure these from this plan view as opposed to on the left-hand side. And you will also see from here, having entered in those dimensions, that you will be able to see the measurement for the span, and you will also be able to see the distance from the sill, from the back of what's the word I'm looking for here, from the back of the sill of the bay to the brickwork. Once you've entered that information in, as we did do on the previous screen, we can then move to customizing the product. So back to being able to run through the general options, running through the profile options again. So being able to select from the colors available. We can then also choose, because we've processed a bay, the bay poles available, in which case there is only one available. So that is the default. The hardware options available. Again, we can then choose the hardware color. What you will see there is that it is immediately defaulted the hardware color here to gold. And that's because on the previous items that we've entered, so that the single sliding sash window, we selected gold hardware. So the software is presumed, therefore, that all the rest of these items on the quote also want the same color. So once we've been through those products again, we can choose to then save those to a quote. So now we have 2 items in the basket of goods. We have the single Charisma Rose vertical slider, and we have the Charisma Rose Bay with the 3 segment. Again, we can go in and add another product. So we have the facility to be able to process a Charisma Rose multi-segment with those designs available that you can see. So I'll select 2 Charisma Rose sliding sash coupled together. And again, the first menu we see on the left-hand side is to tell us what the overall width and the overall height is. And then to choose the span. So choose basically the split between the 2 products. So they're both going to be 1 meter wide. Now you can see below the 2 measurements you have in blue that there is a value, and that value is the size of the 2 items, and then minus the size of the coupler in between. If we go into the customized product menu and we move to the profile and ancillary options, we will see that the options available within here are either to have no coupler, to have a 3mm coupler, which is currently defaulted, or to use a 40mm coupler. If we were to choose the no coupler, then that would be to batter being 1 meter each. And if it was to be a 40mm coupler, then it would deduct 20mm from either side. We can look into the general options in a bay, sorry, not a bay, in a multi-segment. There we go. Apologies. It's in the coupler deduction down at the bottom here, and you have the option to be able to deduct equally, deduct from the left, deduct from the right, or just simply deduct automatically. So if you're wanting the item on the left to have the deduction or the item on the right to have the deduction, this is where you'd be able to make that selection from. Again, once we've satisfied with what's been processed, that will then enter our basket of goods. So we now have a single vertical slider, a bay, and a multi-segment. Once we're satisfied with that, we can then go in and enter a reference. And having selected complete, it will then sit in the area where we can then view the quotes that we've previously processed and this new one that we've processed. If I go to one that was made earlier, if I open that one up, I'll be able to see that I have the quote details. So it was quote number 7, when it was created, who it was created by. I can turn the calculated cost on and off. We have a calculated price here on the right-hand side, which is from the predetermined markup or the predetermined margin that has been entered against your account that you will set yourselves. What the first thing we would do in here is to enter the consumer details. So we can enter the first name, the last name, their email address, their telephone number, and then we can enter their address. So it's enabled to be using the what 3 words, but you can also start by entering the postcode, and it will find their address, and I can then save their details. Once I've saved that, this will then allow me to do a couple of things. So I can then create a quote. And if I'm not satisfied with the price that it's currently calculated at, I can go in and requote that. So I can determine, actually, I'm going to sell that at 6,000 excluding VAT, and then save that, and that will then reset that information for me. From here, I can look at the products that I've previously processed. So I've got a sliding sash. I have the bay. And I also have the multi-seg, or the coupled item. Underneath, we have an area where we can enter customer notes. We have an area where we can enter internal notes. And we have an area where we can enter notes for the supplier. So in this case, Roseview. From here, we can download a survey sheet. So downloading the survey sheet will then save it into your downloads. And then open this up. So I can see it's branded. In this case, it's KRB Home Improvements. It has my customer's details. And then it has an image of the item. And then it has the specification detailed out. You can download the customer quote. So before you then send it to the customer, or perhaps you want to download it to email it to the customer. And again, this will then sit in your downloads. And having used the custom styling, it will have your logo, customer's details, the imagery that you have uploaded, and again, the specification of what you're going to be providing to that customer. Of course, any customer notes that we've entered on that previous page would then appear here. And then the final image there at the bottom. And then if you want to send the customer the quote automatically, having entered the customer's email, if you click on send customer quote, having entered that custom styling in, so the subject and then also the body of text, this will then be the template that is then sent along with a PDF copy of the quote to your customer. And having sent, that will then appear in your customer's inbox. You'll then be able to get access to those quotes. They will sit in here for you to be able to manage. If you wish to show, or if you're looking perhaps for any assistance from Roseview in the interim, in the startup period, the show to admin button pushes it to Roseview into the admin area of their touch, and they'll be able to then see what you've processed for that customer. So if you're looking for any assistance because perhaps you're not quite sure with regards to perhaps the pricing, if you're not quite, if you maybe a little bit of confidence not quite there with regards to processing certain items, general understanding of how to use the platform. If you want to start in here by creating that quote, putting the basics together, by selecting show to admin, that will then push that to your to the guys at Roseview, and enable them to be able to see what you've processed so they can help you with it. And on the flip side, they can do the same. So if they want, if you're asking them to process quotes on your behalf, whilst you're developing your confidence, they can do the same and they can then release it through to you. So perhaps they start off by processing a couple of items, and then you then need to refine that quote. They can release it to you, and that will then enable you to put the finishing touches, the accurate sizes, the accurate configuration around hardware and ancillaries and such. Once a quote has been agreed, you can then use this button to convert it into an order. I think now is probably the best time before we move to convert into an order, because this was around making sure understanding how to quote, how to process, and then how to create a quote and send that to the customer. Perhaps now is as good a time as any to then perhaps hand over to my colleague Richie to go through some of the development before we then hand back to the folks at Roseview. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll then pass it back to Richie.
Okay, so any questions to start with then, guys, about what you've seen so far before I sort of give you a little insight into the future? Anything from you guys, Mike or Keane first?
Yeah, do you want to turn this on?
So I've stuck on a post onto the Q&A for some visitors to answer some questions. I haven't had anything come through at the moment.
So I'll just reiterate what I said to you guys at the start of the session, Mike and Keane. So what this will mean moving forward for Roseview customers that are on the Touch platform is we understand that there will be more that you would like to do with the software in terms of booking surveys, fitting in extras, adding potentially combining a Roseview product with a product from another supplier. And what Roseview have done in terms of from an investment point of view is they've ensured that anybody who is now signed up to the Roseview Touch portal can take advantage of using the Roseview data and imagery and the price that you get from Roseview. So in the next incarnation of the software, any other supplier that is on the Touch platform alongside Roseview, you'll be able to integrate your Roseview product into another Touch supplier product. So, let's say you got your specialist windows or certain products from other Touch suppliers, you'll be able to grab a version of Touch for yourselves. And so long as you've got, so long as Roseview are happy with your trading relationship with them, they will support you by providing access to that data free of charge into your own version of Touch, at which point you'll be able to subscribe to other data sets, pull together your own pricing and create quotes out in the field or on your website or with your, in branch, create quotes for any product that you have an account with at a Touch fabricator or profile system house. So you'll be able to create multiple product quotes, and then anything that you do that's anything to do with Roseview, of course, would be interconnected between your two accounts, and you would be able to shoot that off into your Touch Roseview portal. You wouldn't need to re-input it. You could just push that order straight back through to those guys, and they'll be able to pick that up at the rate that you pay those guys as well. So we're it's a little bit of a look into the future for you. Roseview are a bit further along than lots of the people. There's lots of other Touch suppliers in the pipeline. As you can appreciate, this is the sort of next incarnation of what we've done from in terms of bringing all the things that we can do in the factory into the cloud. So at some point in the future, you'll be able to create quotes just like you saw there, but incorporate other Touch suppliers as well, with additional features for fitting and extras and so on and so on. We've started an integration process that I can tell you about now, and a relationship with Stripe. So potentially, if you decide to take things that far, you would be able to charge for the Roseview windows out in the field, and take a payment for those Roseview windows out in the field if that's something you wanted to do with the Touch platform. Also, you'll be able to deploy a version of the Roseview configurator with live pricing with a payment gateway, effectively allowing you to become e-commerceable just off the back of your relationship with Roseview as well. There will be, I hope you can appreciate, further costs for that sort of thing. We're not at that point of release and what that's going to be yet, but it will be in line with what we've currently sort of been charging for branded mode and that sort of thing. The key for the supplier relationship with Roseview is though that so long as you have an active trade portal account with Roseview and you are ordering, not just quoting, but ordering and placing your orders with Roseview for their product, then they will maintain that open relationship and supply your Roseview data and pricing into the Touch platform for you to use out in the field and with other products as well. So we'll be creating some documentation and a bit of a development roadmap that we'll release to Mike and Keen first. Once they're happy with what we've put into that, I'm sure they'll be letting you guys know what the next sort of steps are for the product. But I must reiterate the key is that we get as many people logged on to the new platform, using it to get a quote from Roseview, using it to place an order with Roseview, and we really make sure that that is as tight as possible. If there's any issues, any bugs, any anomalies, we want them fixed there first and foremost before we give you guys a deeper piece of software that you can use with your own customers out in the field. Because as you can appreciate, we're just multiplying any issues we would have there if we give that level of detail to you guys before we've actually resolved any issue with Roseview. So Roseview are very much at the bow of the ship here, sort of thing, in as far as pioneering this platform and this technology with us. So thanks very much for everybody coming on today and hearing about where we've got to so far. And through the channels that we have to distribute information, we'll be letting you all know what's coming next. But I think Mike and from what I can gather from the information they've been providing you guys so far, we will be delivering information out to you guys via Mike and Keen. So watch out for that, guys.
Okay, so thanks very much, Nick. Thanks very much, Richie. There's just a couple of things I'd like to pick up on that were mentioned in the demonstration, which was really good. It showed I learned a couple of things off of it. I didn't know that we could do a quote for you and push it back to you. So thanks for that, Nick. But I'll have to work out how to do that. Just a couple of points, just to let you know a couple of the details in there. So first of all, the options on the windows, all of those options have been set up specifically so that you can only choose what you're allowed to choose. It won't let you choose things that are incompatible or that clash and things like that. It sorts it all out for you, so you can be assured that when you're putting a window in for a quote, it'll let you do only what you can actually do, and that obviously applies to the pricing on it as well. We've set it up so that the defaults that we use in-house when we're quoting windows are the defaults that you'll see in the system. So things like the glass, the glass that's picked, the colours, all of that sort of stuff. Those defaults, when you first go into it, are the ones that we use in-house. And then obviously there were different options for the different models. So Nick was showing you Charisma Rose, and he showed you a beige, showed you a multi-seg as well as standard window. If you go on to Ultimate Rose, then there's other things available in those options panels. So different horns, staff bead, that sort of thing. Different things that are model specific. You can only see them within the right model. Touching on getting set up on the system. So the way that we do this at the moment, and Kian will give a bit more information in a moment, but effectively when you register, what we do is we ask you for the details of who's going to be your admin user. We then set your company up on Touch at our end. We've already got your details, obviously, because you're a customer already, so we've got it in our system already there. So we'll set you up within Touch. We'll set up one user who will become your admin user. That then automatically fires an email out to that person and asks you to set up a password and that sort of stuff. That gives you access to the portal that the guys have shown you, and then you can set up your own extra users. There's no limit, as far as I know, on the number of users that you can have within a single company. So basically, we set up the first one, and then you can set up more people yourself. It's dead easy to do. And then finally, really, just a little bit again on the backup. So as I say, we have a guide, Business Micros has a guide. They showed you the knowledge base that's within Touch. We're doing some videos and things like that. Just to reassure again, really, so when you can place an order through BM Touch, but when that order comes to us, we process it ourselves in exactly the same way as we've always done. So we'll still have eyes on your order effectively. It's not, you're not placing an order and it's going automatically through without us looking at it. We'll still have eyes on it. You'll still get your order acknowledgement for you to sign off. Everything from that point on is exactly the same as it is now. So you don't have to worry about accidentally placing orders or anything like that. I think that's basically it from me now. So Ian is furiously typing something, and do you want me to pass it over to you now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just trying to find the exact URL for the email.
Ooh.
Oh, wait a minute. Just trying to find the
Just bear with us a second. We're just trying to get an email address for you. I suppose actually the other thing I could say while Keane's doing that is that as the guys have said, this is a new system, and we have worked a lot with Business Micros to get this set up specifically to work with our Sash windows. In the early days, you may find little anomalies in there, things that I mean, we're confident that it's right. We're confident that the pricing is right, and that you can be confident with your quotes on it. You may find little anomalies in there. You may have suggestions to say, oh, actually, maybe it could do this, or maybe it could do that. If you fire those over to us, what we're doing is we're sort of collecting them together. We're answering what we can answer, and any feature requests or anything like that, we're sort of filtering those. I'm hassling Joe at Business Micros when we've got good ones to send over. And then Business Micros, if it's a change that's required in the system, those guys can sort of build it into their development plans. So we have no control over the system itself, but anything that you guys see and you think, okay, maybe it could do this, or maybe here's a suggestion, we'll pass that one to Business Micros.
So if you are not set up on Touch yet and you haven't gained access, please visit this website here, which is roseview.co.uk/touch-signup. If you can complete the form with your company name and your email address and who you are, what we will do is get in touch as soon as possible once we can give you access to an account. And then ultimately, if you've got any other questions, please let me know. I have got the Q&A open. Just going to check the Q&A. If you do think of anything in the meantime, after the webinar, please drop me or Mike an email at marketing@roseview.co.uk, and we can come back to you with any queries that you've got. And if you would like a how-to guide, whether that be our how-to guide or both ours and the BM Touches guide, just drop us an email again at marketing@roseview.co.uk, and we'll get that sent over to you. But thank you ever so much for joining, and we will be in touch soon.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.